I welcome you all to this morning's webinar. This is Cyber Security PNG Limited's normal uh, cyber awareness programs that we normally do, and then we call it Cyber Thursday. And for this episode, we want to look at the economics of ethical hacking. So I welcome you all. I can see Alfred joined, and then we're expecting few others to join us. But even if they don't join us, they'll have the opportunity to check the webinar out, and then they can access it for their benefit. So today we will be talking about the economics of ethical hacking. So Alfred, you were there. I see. You were talking with someone at the back end, so we just want to make sure that you finish that one up, and then probably you can signal me by way of a message so I can get your reaction or your feedbacks to what we will be presenting. With that, we are 5 minutes into our scheduled time, so I'll just go through. This webinar is Cybersecurity PNG Limited's way of bringing awareness to the wider audience in Papua New Guinea and across the Pacific. We are not in any way affiliated with the Papua New Guinea Department of Information and Communication Technology. We do this webinars as independently as we feel that we are morally and ethically obligated to deliver the best to our audience, especially in Papua New Guinea and across the Pacific, and of course globally. We will be accessing this webinar. We do this so that we believe that cybersecurity is something that we all can do, and then it is our kind of a collective duty to protect our cyber ecosystems in the country and elsewhere, and wherever cyber jurisdictions we operate in. So with that, let me welcome you all, and then thank you for participating. Thank you for accessing the. So with that, I welcome you all. Alfred, can you hear me? Let me see.
Yes, I can hear you on my end.
Alfred, please, if you can introduce yourself and then let me go through. The others may not be joining. Maybe they don't get access to the link, or they may not be kind of tech savvy in a way how to access Teams. But what I will do is that we will make this recording available for them to use. So please, if you can briefly introduce yourself. I'd
Okay, thank
appreciate
you.
that.
I'm Alfred Marajami, working here at PNG UNRI. I just got a link from Priscilla.
Yes.
She was, and I'm joining it now. Permission, President.
Thank you, Alfred. Yes. UNRI is one of our. UNRI is one of our clients in the other company that Cyber Security PNG Limited is doing, and that is called ICTech Pacific. So we are actually the ones providing the unri.ac.pg emails, and that's where Priscilla got got our details and passed it to you. So thank you for thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Alfred. Our webinar is as I was saying in the introductory, we normally do this on some random Thursdays. We want to do it like every Thursday, but because of our other engagements, we may not have all the Thursdays. But we, as and when issue arise, and when we feel the need for the country to get into what cybersecurity is, then we normally run a few episodes. So this is the one that I'm running, and that is most of the time we do a quotation, or we provide something to provide, let's say, ethical hacking in terms of services like red team or blue team. Most of the companies and government departments, they see the kind of cost involved, and they like pull back, and they think that that would be something expensive that they do not want to engage in. So we have experienced a lot of that. So then I decided to put in a topic which calls the economics of it. So in a way, it is like, why should one invest in ethical hacking services? And is there cost savings in that? Do we cut costs in technology, or do we cut costs in this kind of services, or do we pay so that the return on investment will be reflected on other areas of services like sales and marketing, or in terms of other areas? That's the kind of perception that we live, that there's kind of a hypothesis that people believe that this lamb is too expensive, so me not spending money. And then they didn't realize that when the actual thing happens, then it will cost a lot. So the basic this webinar is about that one, and see whether economics of this and what should or we should do that in the initial steps, and then in the later phases in down the line when we see a issue coming up, then how can we go about it? So this will be a 1 hour. I'm trying to put it as slow as 1 hour. Don't want to spend too much, because I believe in too much is not good. So we'll try and squeeze it between 30 minutes or so. But this is about the economics of ethical hacking. So I'll go through. You can see the slide that I'm sharing. Alfred.
Yes, I can see.
Okay.
PNG me Babab and your portrait
My
below.
face there.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, that's good. So that's PowerPoint slide. So it's about 6 slides only. So we'll go through. Basically, an introduction to myself. I am the founder of that cybersecurity company called Cyber Security PNG Limited. We started this company in 2018, around the same time when COVID came, and I left formal employment. I used to work with one of our leading IT companies before, and it's part of a group of companies, so based in Port Moresby, and I was working for almost over a decade, about 10 or 11 years, and then decided to go into private, and then thinking that because of the emergence of cybersecurity, decided to come up with this company. And since then, through COVID, we came through, and we engaged in few advisory roles, advisory services, even with the Department of Finance's cyber attack that happened a few years back. And then we also involved in training with them. So we came a bit long, about 5 or so years into our existence, and there are challenges there. These kind of services are not provided by us, Papua New Guinea, so that's the challenge we face. But eventually, we are getting into the market, so that's what we're doing, and we are into specifically in the cybersecurity and the related domains or aspects of cybersecurity. So we into things like cyber defense, cyber assurance, cyber forensics, intelligence. GRC is governance, risk, and compliance. I think someone wanted to join in, but then went out, so he might come back. Yes, so governance, risk, and compliance, and then we also do like ethical hacking. Ethical hacking is, and then we support government agencies. Some of our major clients include NICTA, which we are providing, like UNRE, we are providing the communication and collaboration side of things, Microsoft 365. But then also we look at how cybersecurity will cybersecurity is included in that, like the solutions that we're providing. So we providing them this solution, and then also on a few things on website penetration testing and others areas that we look at. So it's a bonus for us. We go with Papua New Guinea's regulator in the ICT sector. And then we also do some bit of work for Department of Finance initially when they were affected by the ransomware. And then we also engage with few other SMEs and other law enforcement agencies. Some things we are doing, we do not disclose. They like that need consent, but we are in government ecosystem trying to provide the best we can for the country. So that's a brief on what Cyber Security PNG Limited is doing. Next is a brief on myself. I started the cybersecurity company and other smaller other companies that I also started with providing services, and one of them is ICTech Pacific Limited, which provides service to the University of Natural Resources in Eastern Britain. So that is where Alfred is joining us from. That's we also provide that solution as well. And why that solution related to this? That solution also has cybersecurity components inside it, so that also covers the cybersecurity aspect of what we offer. So I have a Bachelor of Science degree from University of Papua New Guinea, and also have a Master of Science in Cybersecurity. Graduated summa cum laude, and that's from the University of EC Council University in the US. That's why I have my Master in Cybersecurity. I'm also pursuing other academic pathways like public health and MBA. So I'm also interested in that. That's just broaden my understanding of how best we can provide cybersecurity in all sector of our government's ecosystem. That includes healthcare, business, and industry, and all the other players in our economy. So that's kind of broader skill that I'm into, and I'm still pursuing my 2 other master's degree programs with the University of Liverpool in the UK, and the other one Griffith University in Australia. That's where I am starting my journey on the MBA program. So that's a brief on myself. Yes, there's someone joining us, and people are joining, and then they're going back. So I'm trying to get them in. Probably when they come in, they can join us. So that's a brief on myself. Okay, Makali Peter, let's get you in. Let's get Makali in. Hold on, let's see. Let me think. Yes, Makali Peter, can you hear me? Welcome to the webinar, and thank you for joining us. Yes, I think you are. I can see you are online. So if you can hear or cannot hear us, you can chat and then let me know if you can or cannot hear us. So I'll continue with the presentation today. I was actually doing a brief on what cybersecurity is and Cybersecurity PNG Limited is, and then on what my credentials and a brief introduction on myself. And now I'm trying to go into the start on the actual webinar on what is ethical hacking, and then we look at the economics of it. So sorry, Makali Peter, can you hear me? I think let me see. Okay. Brief on that. So now the first slide talks about what is ethical hacking. So many times we say ethical hacking, and we kind of think, what is ethical hacking, and is it good or is it bad, or is it, what is it? So that's the kind of question that most of the time people ask me, and saying, when I say ethical hacking, then everybody think like hacking is like a criminal in nature, and it is something that is not good and that kind of thing. So that's the perception that many people, when I come across, they normally say or normally have that kind of perception. But for today's session, we're trying to find out what is ethical hacking. So uh, I have about four kind of short notes there. The first one, it says it is the authorized testing of systems to identify and fix vulnerabilities. Sorry, there's a bit of a break there. Yes, so what the 4 points up there, the first one, it says the authorized testing of systems to identify and fix vulnerabilities. So the keyword there is authorized, meaning that if you want to do a penetration ethical hacking, then what you do is that somebody need to authorize it. But that's the difference between ethical and unethical. So whenever there's a system hacking in general, when you see like in news feeds or in system making like the one that we experienced in finance department or any other government agent departments in Papua New Guinea, that some are being disclosed, some are not disclosed, that I am aware of these things. It is all categorized under that bad one, the hacking. But this one is the ethical one. It is the good one, meaning that they'll deploy the same tools and techniques, same weapons that they normally, cyber weaponry that is engaged in, and they'll do everything is the same. It's just that this one is the consent of the owner of the, let's say, a cyber system, like the secretary of a department, for instance. So they would write the consent note, or what the service provider and the client would do is that they would go into a rules of engagement, we call it ROE. The rules of engagement stipulates what needs to be done and what need not to be done. So ethical hackers would then operate within that. So ethical hacking is the same like hacking into systems, but the difference is that it is authorized, meaning that the custodian of the cyber system, like let's say if it is a department, if it's a government department, then the secretary of the department of, let's say, finance would agree and say that, look, this is what I want ethical hackers to test it out. So that is the difference. And then the second one is ethical hacking. It mimics malicious attacks, but under legal, structured, and safe protocols. Like I said earlier, this one is that mimicking. So it is like exactly the same steps, the what we call the TTPs, the tools, techniques, and protocols that we use. These are the same ones, but it is just like a rascal turned security guard, like a criminal used to, like a gentleman used to involve in criminal activities, but then he decided to change and say that, look, this kind of thing, I'm fighting with the police and law enforcement is not good, so now I'm gonna go to a church or change my attitude and habit and then try to go to what, and then he was employed as a security guard. And then that person would know exactly where to guard because he used to use those same techniques. So these are the same techniques that he will use to guard. So he'd be a best security guard. He would go and guard those strategic places that he himself used to utilize to cause whatever he was doing before. So that's the kind of thing. It mimics the same malicious attacks, but under legal and structured and safe protocols. So it is like we sign up to the ROE, and then the rules of engagement stipulates what needs to be done and what need not to be done. So that's the second point. The third point is ethical hackers. We still use the five phases of ethical hacking, or let's say hacking. Even if an ethical hacker are a good or a bad person, he or she will still need to use these five steps in hacking into a system. So number one is reconnaissance. Reconnaissance is like it is like it's a military term we use, and it's like the United States Army would send out this big, the reconnaissance aeroplanes and flying over different zones, getting information, getting all the intel, all of that. So in cybersecurity, the first thing is that you need to find out more about your target, who is he, what company, what does the company does, what are his profit margins, what are his strengths and weaknesses, who are his employees, who is the boss, all of the detail, what domain is using, what email, what domain, who is hosting the domain, is it a .com or a .com.pg domain? Like if it's a .com.pg domain, then it is hosted by let's say Department of ICT in PNG. While I have also the privilege of having Priscilla joining us. Priscilla, if you can hear me? That's Priscilla Eka from the University of Natural Environment and Natural Resources from Eastern Britain, UNRE. So Alfred is there. Priscilla, thank you for joining us. And I have Makali Pita as well.
Good morning, everyone.
Hi, Priscilla. Good morning. Thank you for joining. I'll continue. I'm on the second slide there. I just did a bit of a introduction there. And then I came to the next one about what cybersecurity is. And then to myself. And now I'm on what is ethical hacking. And then the next we'll go into the economics of it. So I was touching on the number 3 point. Number 3 point there, and that is on the phases of ethical hacking. So these are the same five the phases that both the bad hackers and the cyber criminals, which are called hackers, and also as the ethical hackers, these are the same phases that they follow. So the first one is a reconnaissance. That's where you get, it's like you're going out there on a intel gathering information, that you get all the information possibly. So if I want to, let's say, hack into UNRE servers, then I want to know who is handling the IT. I might end up with Priscilla's email address, then who is the, what are they using, what websites, who is hosting the website, all of that, and then what are the times that they are skeptical, they are, let's say, vulnerable to an attack, probably in afternoon, let's say when at 3 o'clock or 2:30, when time for school pickup and all that, when we are all tired, probably that's the best time we attack, do our, launch a cyber attack. So, hey, Sylvester, thank you for joining us. You can hear us? That's we have Sylvester joining us. So if you can hear me, Sylvester, we are on the what is ethical hacking, and on the number 3 point on the phases of ethical hacking. There are actually 5 phases of ethical hacking, and we're on reconnaissance. Reconnaissance is actually information gathering and information gathering about who is doing what, where they're operating, what email servers they're using, what domain they're using, what servers they're using. All of that is being checked, and kind of doing a profile on who is that. So once I find out who is what servers they're using and what emails they're using, then the next thing is that I want to find out what vulnerabilities they're doing. So I will do what we call a scanning phase. That's actually when you do actual scanning of the vulnerabilities. I want to find out what loopholes they have and where can we go in and attack them. So that is the second phase of our 5-phase hacking methodology, and that is scanning. Once in the scanning process, then we will find out what vulnerabilities or security loopholes are there, which we can capitalize. So then, using the tools and techniques that are available, then some are free, some are commercial tools available, then we try and do gaining access into the system. So gaining access is, we already found out, let's say a port or a service is running and is not being used. And that port, is it a printer port or is it a email port? Is it of those ports? And then we'll find out what are the vulnerabilities. So then you go online and there's a database of all the vulnerabilities available on time. So you go to that database, find out whether is there any vulnerability related to that port or the service, and then we'll try and gain access to it, launch the tools, and so that is what we call the gaining access. Once you gain the access, then as much as possible you want to maintain it, so people must not find you out. So in ethical hacking or in hacking, they will not go in and then straight away launch their attacks. They will be there for months or for weeks, depending on the kind of infrastructure that they are taking. They'll go in there and then they'll wait for, like, if someone is noticing me or not. It's like someone come into the back door into a house. Let's say a window is broken, someone walk in and then hide somewhere in the corner of a closet and see if the owner of the house knows his or her presence. And they can do that for, let's say, a week or two or more. Once they find out that they cannot be detected, and then they start launching. So that is the phase number 4, where you maintain your access. Maintaining, in other words, it means you create a backdoor, and then that door you only have access, or you have something like a malware or a rootkit that give access to the back of the system, backdoor of the system. So then you come in and go out anytime you want. And then the last phase is that they want to delete the tracks. You cover the tracks. So it's like you come in and you're going out, whatever you're doing, the owner of the system should not find you out. So the way they do it is like they go into the event lockers and all the logs, and then they will delete those logs of what they're doing. And most of these processes are not done manually, and they are done automatically. And now with artificial intelligence and machine learning on the rise, these things are getting more complicated and more easier in terms of how to launch all these things. So these are the 5 phases of hacking that they normally the cyber criminals and both the good and the bad hackers normally follow. And one of the things is that when they follow these steps, it's like a chain that you must first complete the first phase before you go to the next one. It's like they're linked. So if you break one of those links, then it's just like you're resetting, or you're setting back the hacker to go and follow the first phase. So we have to cut them off in any of that. So that is what they call a cyber kill chain. There's a chain that they follow. So if you cut off the chain, then they'll have to go back and redo the whole thing again. So these are the 5 phases of ethical hacking. The other point there is the second last one is talks about the tools used. So these are some of the tools that we normally use, like Nmap, Metasploit, Nessus, PEP Suite, Wireshark, and so many of them. It's like you're doing a cyber warfare, so meaning that in your cyber weaponry, it's like the police and the army are. They don't have pistols only, or M16s or SLR, all these. You have to have all the different tools that you will use when you are in a situation. So it's like if you are long range shots, then you might not need a pistol. That's where you might need a bigger weapon. So that something similar happens in cybersecurity. When you're doing your hacking, then you will have your cyber arsenal must be big, hundreds of thousands, many hundreds of tools that we normally use that specific to whatever kind of client and attack that we want to engage in. And then it complies with supports compliance and improves cyber resilience. So what ethical hacking does is it supports compliance. So ISO 2700, GDPR, NIST. These are some of the industry standards that ethical hacking complies support the compliance part of it. So if you are doing ISO, if your organization is into obtaining a ISO certification, then ethical hacking is something that you need to have, and then you need to present that ethical hacking reports to the entities they're checking the whatever that qualifies for you to get your ISO certification. So when you tell them that, look, we ran ethical hacking services like penetration testing, then they will know that. So when I say ethical hacking, it covers many, like it's a broader term, but under that you'll have things like the penetration testing. And penetration testing can comes in different forms. One would be to do with your websites. Like I have a meeting after I have a scheduled meeting with one of my clients that they wanted us to, they host their application in the cloud in one of those major cloud computing providers. So what we will do is that I'll sit with them and then find out how we can come up with rules of engagement to do the penetration testing. So these are the things that's one of them. The other one is we call the vulnerability assessment. And most of the time you will see this initial VAPT, that stands for vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. That is one of the major things that we do, that we need to engage in analyzing a system and see if there's a loophole or not. Many times people have this kind of perception that I have the best IT company in IT department in my organization, either it be a corporate organization or a government agency or department or even or NGO. They think that because I have this good, very skilled professionals in my IT department, I do not need another person from outside. That is not the right approach, because in cybersecurity, there are two teams. One is in ethical hacking. One is the blue team, we call it. That is the internal team. And the other one is the red team. Red team is someone from outside, like Cyber Security PNG Limited, that we do not know any system about the internal what. So it's like we involved in a two-way warfare thing. One is the defensive and one is the offensive. So the defensive is the one inside the IT department of organization or a team or an agency or a department or a corporate organization. That is the blue team. And the rule of thumb in cybersecurity is that you cannot do both offensive and defensive yourself. To give, to maintain credibility and to see the real threats that are affecting you and to avoid any kind of conflicting interest scenario, is that the same person must not do both offensive and defensive ethical hacking, or let's say red team and blue team operations. The blue team is the inside, and that must also be very robust and have all the tools that the outside team will be using. And the red team is outside, so that's where companies like Cyber Security PNG, we are mostly a red team service provider, meaning that we don't want to know anything about the internal organization, but we want to try and crack into the system based on the rules of engagement and see if we can hack into the system. And once we find it out, then we communicate with communicate the findings to the blue team and tell them that, look, we went through this and then we see that you have this loophole, so you patch it up. So that patching part, we don't do it. We put to the blue team, the defensive team, to do it. We are the offensive team. So once they put up the defenses, they'll tell us, look, now we already put up the defenses, do another one. So then we come in and again and then try and see if that particular vulnerability has been addressed. We try and do the same tools and techniques, and we try and see if we can come in. And when we find out that it is sealed off, then we say that, look, that one is done good. But then we also find this one. So it's like 6 monthly, or we recommend you do it like on a standard one, you do it like, let's say, triannually. But in special circumstances, you will do it as soon as you introduce, let's say, a new router or a new server, or you do a change in your router or switch configurations, or you downgrade or upgrade let's say, a DNS server or an email server or file server. And then why is that important? Because that is crucial, because when you put a new server in, then there are some ports that are open, which unnecessarily they are open. You don't need them, but they're open, and that will be the cyber criminals, let's say, pathway or a path that they can actually come in. So when you put a new server, you always tell your red team that, look, we already installed a server, our new router and some configuration done by our network engineer. Can you find out if there's a loophole in there? So triannually, you can do that, or you can do as soon as you introduce a new equipment into your network, whether it be a server or let's say router or switch or any other network that you feel that it faces the internet and cyber criminals can come through that one. That's on the tools and then support. So that's basically on ethical hacking. I will have some time at the end for Q&A, so you can ask any question. You just note down and then you can ask me. The next part is the economics of it. So we say like this webinar's title is like it's the Cyber Thursday, the economics of ethical hacking. So as I was telling earlier, there's this myth or there's this kind of perception that every time I introduce, let's say, do a proposal in, and then some people see 100,000, 150,000, 200,000, they're scared of that cost, and they think that, why is this guy charging us too much? But that's the kind of myth or that's the kind of misconception that this webinar wanted to address, and that is the economics of it. So ethical hacking is a proactive investment, not an expense. So this is like a new expenditure item that needs to be taken in, and then there's actually no cost cutting on that, because in technology you don't cut cost. When you cut cost, the cyber criminals are not cutting costs. They are investing in AI powered tools and all that. So on the defensive side, we must also do that. So whether we Cyber Security PNG provide offensive services and our clients as defensive services, all of us are categorized under ethical hacking, and we are on the defending side of it. But on the attacking side is the real guys who are using the cyber criminals. They are the ones that all of us, the red and blue team, has to defend against that. So these are the guys that are spending like crazy to do these things. So some of them, they do it for hobby. Some they're doing it for profit. So when people are, one of the mindsets of the cyber criminals is that they have kind of competition among themselves, among their own groups. Like we see graffiti in the city, there's a big problem, but there's some kind of organization that is banned. So if someone goes at the very top pole and write a graffiti, then the other team group might think that. So they are not concerned about defacing the city and destroying the infrastructure that the government is putting up. All they do is that they compete against themselves in cyber activities. That is what's actually happening. The bigger threat that we have is that there is a competition among themselves. So if somebody attacked NASA, for instance, then another group might say that they're doing this, so we might do it. So there's kind of a competition among themselves. So whatever they do in their competition, we are the victims. So that's where we have to be spending in this, or the economics of this has to be captured. There's a IBM report out that in 2024, the global average cost of a data breach is 4.9 US dollars. So that's probably for 12, 15 around there. And in PNG, based on some of the spendings that already so far and from the public, public media and information around, in one of the government departments, cyber ransomware attack, there was some 15 to 20 million as per the papers covered. So that's kind of the average. It may be more, it may be less. The danger is when you don't have a backup, and when they across the entire system, let's say a system that government runs on, any government, then the cost of you purchasing new servers, purchasing new licenses, purchasing new software, and then training them, and then all that, then that can even go beyond our budget in terms of now that the country is facing inflation. That's a global issue, and the countries are facing that. So that's the kind of thing that we do. So then on my slide on the left, number 4, you will see that the box talks about ROI. So penetration, we normally charge 15 to probably 100 or 200,000, but that depends on what infrastructure we are testing. So when you combat that with the actual attack, and then the cost that will be involved, that will be very huge. So most of the time, when we are proposing, let's say, Microsoft 365, which Priscilla and Alfred from UNRA will know, these are the times when we most of the time when we put that one on, we emphasize on the that there is no cost cutting. So the cost cutting can be reflected on the other. So for a university case, maybe the number of enrollments, maybe the tools that we're empowering our students. So when they graduate, they'll be well versed with what technology they're using, and then when they go out into the workforce, then they contribute with that kind of technical knowledge. They can contribute meaningfully to whatever company, agency, or a department they'll be engaged in, and then they know what cybersecurity is. So the return on investment may not be that immediate, but it is like a insurance thing that whether the house will be on fire or not, you still have your insurance cover. So that's the kind of cost that is involved in ethical hacking. So the cost is between 15 to 20,000, 30,000 to 200,000, but it depends on the size of the infrastructure we are testing and the number of tools that will be engaged, and of course the number of expertise that will be engaged. Then we walk around the costs, but whatever the cost is, there is an economics part of it. The return on investment is reflected on other areas, and then in the long run, we protect the systems that powers a country's economy. We saw what happens when the IFMS system in Waigani went down some years back. What happened was that the entire country came to a standstill, and that means that whatever system they're using is very, very critical. So we have to defend those so that the country's economy doesn't goes down, because these things that run the country's economy hangs on it, hangs on these systems and softwares that we needed to protect them, and that's where ethical hacking comes in. So we some of the benefits, it's like the reduced insurance premiums, avoided regulatory fines, and minimized downtime and reputational harm, and strategic risk reduction and board confidence. So the insurance premium, what happens in some countries is that they have cyber insurance cover as well. I think that one is I'm not really sure of our insurance companies in Papua New Guinea providing that, but there are in Australia, US, they are providing insurance cover on cyber attacks. So with penetrating testing on ethical hacking services, you will actually reduce on your premiums. Reduce on your premiums. So, and then the other one is avoid regulatory fines. There are compliance standards like EPA, and EPA is for the hospital. So let's say Department of Health goes down, and if it tampers with the patient records for Port Moresby General Hospital, then there's a compliance that they'll have to comply with, and then there'll be penalties applied for that. So these are not, the penalties cannot be, let's say, imposed within the country, but international bodies and agencies, that will have a bad image to the country, and that affects things like investor confidence, and that is a kind of a huge economic impact as well. When people find out that, let's say, the Department of Health doesn't comply with EPA, then there is a big, so some of the benefits that the Department of Health may be getting from the, let's say, the World Health Organization may be affected, because globally the Department of Health in Papua New Guinea will be seen as in non-compliance with the regulatory compliances. And then the second last is minimize downtime and reputational harm. So sometimes when your company is exposed to cyber attacks, you will, if it's a public company, then the stock prices will drop. If it's SME, then people might not want to engage our services because we ourselves are prone to cyber criminal attacks. And then the last one talks about strategic risk reduction and board confidence. So when we have our ethical hacking in place, then the risk reduction and at the top level, the confidence is there. So we must do ethical hacking, and that will give the economics confidence of that. So these are some of the main reasons why someone must invest in ethical hacking, whether it be vulnerability assessment or penetration testing. And a lot of companies in Papua New Guinea are behind on penetration testing, and now the Department of ICT is putting out a direction that all the audits must be carried out. So in penetration testing, that's another term, is auditing a IT system. It's like you are auditing, like accountants would do audit the books. This one is you are auditing the entire IT infrastructure to see the proper, let's say, access control lists in place. Let's say the right person has the right access in the system, and the right and at the right place and at the right location. If someone is on vacation in China and he's still accessing his system, then whether it be Chinese, the person is coming in from China, or they can be using things like VPN to dial in from China and accessing a system. So the right person must have the right access at the right time and at the right place. So mostly it's supposed to have access to that in the office. So after hours, something is happening, then that could not be the person, could be a cyber criminal impersonating that person and coming in to steal information. That's all. That is, so that's the economical aspect of it. So it is a moral and ethical duty for every Haiti individual. Now you, 7 of you are joining me, 6 of you are joining me, and then many more will watch this as we, after this webinar, I'll have the copy up in the our pages. They will join us, so they will see that, and they must know that you are a custodian of the IT systems that you are being you are bestowed on to look after, and it is your moral and ethical duty to look after your IT system. So if your boss thinks that, oh, this is too much and we don't have 150,000 to spend, for instance, well, if that's the case, then also need to tell them that, look, you are right, but what if there's a cyber attack and we will spend more than this one? The entire system shut down, the entire system crashed, then what are we going to do? That's the kind of economic conversation. So as much as possible from this conversation, I want all the people that have access to the webinar and the ones that are attending, 6 of us, that they'll have to know that there's an economics aspect of it, and then we have to tell our bosses that there's no cost cutting. That's the language. There's no cost cutting in technology. In technology, you spend, and your return on investment will be reflected on other areas, sales and marketing, or in other areas like that other areas that we make money generating areas. That's where the cost will be reflected, not on the technologies itself. With the way technology is moving, there has to be some cost, and that cost, the ROI will be reflected on other areas, not in IT. Don't cut cost in IT. The minute you cut cost in IT, you are reducing, or you are exposing your organization to the cyber criminals who are using more advanced systems that we are afraid of, and we want to cut down costs here. The cyber criminal is not really interested in that. He want to come in and to uh, attack that. So that's where we have to put our counter argument to our non-technical senior executive managers who will say that, look, we are not spending this much. Then tell them that, look, the other side, it is like insurance premium. You really don't have to pay the premium because the house will get on fire, or your public motor vehicle will be on anything. So you're putting the insurance on it. It is a safeguard. It is the protection that we must have it in place. So in the event that anything happened, then this is a proactive investment, not a reactive investment. The proactive investment is is much cheaper than when you do a reactive. Reactive may cost 16 to 20 million, like the Papua New Guinea government, which would have spent under 50,000 to look after their servers, but they didn't. So they ended up paying almost 20 million for that. So that's the economics of it. I think I've said, as I said, I don't want to go past 1 hour, so I think I may have passed that one. But any question, I'd welcome that. Any question, whether it be related to this or any cybersecurity, any question that you have, you feel free to ask me. Once again, thank you, and we welcome your question, thoughts. Even later, you want to send an email or so, you can do that. Our website is there, and we also have our page on LinkedIn, which you can follow, and you can send us messages. With that, I'll take some questions. Thank you. Any questions? You can pop a question in that message chat, or you can speak if you can, or you can raise a hand, or do there's a at the top you will see raise your hand is you will see someone putting his probably left or right palm there. You can raise that. If no questions, I welcome any comments or questions after this. You have my numbers. You can follow us on our LinkedIn page. The email address is there, admin@cybersecurity.com.pg. We are happy to assist. I see Sylvester is typing. Yes. Yes, I see Sylvester is typing, so I'm pretty sure it's a question. Yes, okay. Solomon, can you please share a bit on cloud security, threat mitigation, compliance, incident response, and best practices? Okay, I see that Sylvester, and then Makali says, good morning and thank you for having me. Yes, you're welcome. Okay, Sylvester, thank you for the question. You said check. Can you please share a bit on cloud security? Okay, firstly, in cloud security at the moment, even the Department of ICT or the government of Papua New Guinea through the Department of ICT is embarking on our cloud journey. So most of the clients that we are involved within the government ecosystem, we already initiated the move into the cloud. So when you move into the cloud, you don't have control over your security. So it's like if you're moving into AWS, Amazon is the one doing your hosting your, let's say, the infrastructure. So they are responsible for the security. If you are going to Azure, there is Microsoft. Then Microsoft handles your security. If you go to Google Workspace or Google Cloud Services, then Google does it. These are the three major cloud solution providers, CSPs, that the government of Papua New Guinea is looking at. So I think not much. When you look at the government of Papua New Guinea, not much into Google, but they're into AWS and Azure. And you see all the .gov.pg domains are hosted in AWS, and we work with companies like Cyber Security PNG Limited. We work with what we call DTOs, the Papua New Guinea government's digital transformation officers. Most of them are IT managers, are DTOs, or somebody can be nominated by the IT team within to be the DTOs, or in the event that DICT runs a workshop or anything, then they represent that particular agency or department and attend. So now the cloud security, when it goes to the cloud, then the security is transferred. Sometimes it is like a shared. So you get things like the pass. There is a let's say platform as a service, or sometimes we call it the software as a service, or sometimes we call it the infrastructure as a service. So these are the different modules that, or sometimes it's like an application as a service. So these are different models that we run. So when we say in terms of like cloud security, the security is what we call it's shared, meaning that it's not only the internal IT is having access to the security controls. It is both the cloud service provider and the client both have the access. So let's say if you are doing things like Microsoft 365, like I'll some of the clients that they're taking Microsoft 365. That one is it's a software as a service, so they don't worry about the hardware, like the let's say Exchange server. They don't worry about it. They don't worry about the routers, firewalls that are routing the email messages. They don't worry about the email filtering. They don't worry about the let's say all that Exchange server. When we have the email inside the house or in the server room, we normally do. They won't have. Sometimes I used to sleep in the server room trying to get my Exchange server up. I can remember that. Those things are taken care of by Microsoft now because they are providing the software. So it's just like Digicel provides a tower, provides look after the workers there, engineers go on site, put the fuel, all of that. We don't worry. All I need to do is get a mobile, get a SIM, get a credit, and call my parents back home. So that's the kind of structure that it's like Digicel takes care of all the daily stuff that they're doing. So Microsoft takes care of that. We're just going. Infrastructure as a service is like you going to Microsoft Azure, and now you're saying that, look, I want to host my, let's say, Department of Finance says they want to host their IFMS in the cloud. So that one, they have the server, the underlying infrastructure is taken care of by Microsoft. But the server configuration, who have access to what, it comes to the, let's say, Department of Finance. So in terms of security, it's a shared responsibility. So security. So when we do like penetration testing, it's not like I crack into Microsoft system. Microsoft is already spending billions of US dollars defending their systems. But what I do is that I come in and go through the access, like what the user goes in. Like let's say they have access to systems, or if there's any loophole at the website level, at the user's computer level, at the user's network level. So we check on that because inside Microsoft, we know that it is secure. So we just want to see the route that the user is taking into access the Microsoft system. We want to see if there's any loophole in there. So it's a shared responsibility. In terms of threat mitigation, we need to have this kind of multi-layered defense strategies. Multi-layered meaning that though you have your cloud, AWS hosted or Microsoft cloud infrastructure there, internally you must have your right routers in, right softwares in, right people in, right physical security like badge, control the security guard. They must use access cards to go in and out of the server room. After hours, all the IT people must not have access to probably only the IT manager, and all of that control. We have to have a multi-layered defense strategies in place. And that most of the time we can do like awareness, because most of the cyber attacks are done through people who are let's say novice in IT. They don't know anything about, like they may be like they don't have it, like the front desk receptionist. She may be vulnerable. So this receptionist, the accounts, the HR, marketing, sales, these are ones. Most of the cyber major attacks that we overseas are done through, let's say, HR. they send a word file or so, thinking that it's a valid file, they have malware inside. Yeah, that's on the threat mitigation. We have to make sure that we have the multi-layered approaches, different strategies in place. We must minimize cyber threats by engaging in like ethical hacking services, getting reports done and see if there's any unwanted port or a service is open. We need to close those. These are some threat mitigation steps. In terms of compliance, we have to, like IPA, if you're a health organization, check to make sure that's IPA. If you handle payment card systems like all the business that are accepting cards that we go and they have a POS machine that we swipe our cards, make sure that they comply with like a like the GDPR, that's for general data protection, that's for the European Union, and then other local PNG policies that we have. So they have to, like PCI, the payment card industry, they have to comply with that. So how do they know and where can they find that? The IT need to, get all those compliance steps, controls, and then tell the management and look, this is where you have to comply. If we do this, then we are in compliance with this particular part of the PCI, let's say, compliance standard or model. So that's we can do on the compliance part, and then of course do like audits in terms of system audits, security audits, both physical and software, for both the electronic and the physical. So in the physical, make sure the security guards they don't compromise with other people and steal information or bring a USB in and plug it into the server to steal the information. So these are the guys that security static guards can do so. All of that needs to be controlled. And in terms of the incident response, we should have like what we call the security operation centers or technical staff that do all these things. So that's the kind of best practices that we can engage in. And the best practices, you must have what we call password hygiene. What does that mean? That means don't use the same password for the last 6 months. Don't use your baby's favorite baby's birthday as a password, or don't use your date of birth or date of the best Valentine's Day date or whatever, or your first date or whatever. They don't put it because they can quickly work it out. So you must have random numbers. Use some random password generator from online. Use just some random numbers that doesn't. Those numbers must not reflect your birthday or your PIN number or anything that that deals with you. The other one is the multi-factor authentication. That's you have to use a password and then you have to have a kind of a phone number or text messages to come to you. Or use authenticator app that there may be more than one way of identifying that it's you. So we can, so these are some, I think I've answered some question there. That's it. What is the next question? I think, Sylvester, I think I've answered your question. If anything, then you can always pop another question up. Next question from Alfred is, says, thank you for the awareness. Most of us are novice into the technology. What are some things that can do as, Sylvester, welcome. Feel free to pop in any question anytime, even after this webinar. Back to Alfred's question. Yes, thank you for the awareness. You're welcome. Most of us are novice into this technology. What are some things we can do as Blue Team to safeguard our infrastructure? Thank you. That's a very important question. Similar to one asked earlier by Sylvester. So the Blue Team is, like as I said, is the offensive team. So the outside is like so that's the defensive. The outside is offensive. So in terms of defensive, the first thing is that you must know your infrastructure. At this stage, do you know your infrastructure? I mean, that's the question. So you must have kind of a full visibility into your structure, your network. These are the access control list. This is the router. The email is flowing through this, and it's like you may not know all the details, but at the broader scale, at a bird's eye view, you must have a full visibility into your network. How do you have a full visibility into your network? Engage vulnerability assessment. That's the first thing. And that will do what they call a security baseline. Security baseline is like of, it's like a foundation of everything that I'll be doing. This is like my baseline. So I will be comparing with this one. So when we do penetration testing to, let's say, a company or a department or agency that never had the chance of doing a pen test before, the first thing we do is that we get from the best practices, global best practice, and create a security baseline. It's like nothing is 100% secure. That, this world is imperfect. We live in an imperfect world, and that's why even Microsoft, when it comes to Microsoft 365, when in terms of downtime, they will say 99.999, etc. That signifies that this world is like not perfect. We cannot give 100% guarantee, but there is a baseline that you should work against. There are some risks you can accept. You cannot go like block everything off. So like some risks, like a security guard, he can't come in and look around. That's a risk, but we accept it because somebody need to bring around and check who is in and out. That this something. So you cannot shut down like the entire thing, like put a very like a brick wall. That is not what happened in IT. We still need access to the outside world. We still need to send an email. We still need to access that particular website. So in that way, we will, like, our business operates. So there are certain risks that we accept. So that's why we create a baseline. Based on that baseline, then we do a vulnerability assessment. So that's the first step. The vulnerability assessment and penetration testing report will give you a visibility. Now you know, this is what my infrastructure is. So I have to defend at this front. So whenever you introduce let's say a new server or a new router, then you must know that particular penetration testing done earlier didn't cover that one. So that's why you need to immediately call in another pen test specifically on that, let's say, device, and tell the pen tester says, look, I want to find out if all the ports that are open are the ones that I need. I don't want to open another port. Like if a printer or if a server doesn't need to print any documents, then the printer port or the service must be disabled. So we don't leave unnecessary services and ports open. So when the new pen tester comes in and test on the new server, let's say Exchange server or file server or a new router, then making sure that they verify that, look, this is okay and you can go ahead, or this one is below the baseline, so you need to improve on this one. So these are the kind of things that you do. So the first thing that we do is that the blue team, you must engage a vulnerability or an audit into your system and know your hardware, know your system, know your server. When you know what I mean is that you must know what port is open on your Exchange server, for instance, or what port is open on your file server, and what are the ports that are being shut down. And then using the tools, you verify that this port is actually shut down, this one is open. So making sure that, because the window in which cyber criminals come in is two. One is a service or a port. So if you can control these two, and doa belong or rascal comes here and tubla doa import the service. So if you can pass in this tubla, then there's no way they will come in. So the first thing for a blue team, get an audit in place, get a penetration testing done, vulnerability assessment done, and then you know what your infrastructure is. So going forward, you will know where to defend and where to manage it. So I think that's, Alfred, I think I'm answering your question. If anything, you can always pop in. Okay, I think Sylvester and Alfred agree with my answers. As I said earlier, anything, I am on SSUA at cybersecurity.com.pg. That's my email address. The generic one is admin@cybersecurity.com.pg. So feel free to call. I'm also on WhatsApp. So you can go to our LinkedIn page on the Cybersecurity PNG Limited and pop in any question wherever and when you can. If you have no other question, then I appreciate your time. This is past 13 minutes away from past the 11 o'clock. So I thank you for the 1 hour that you spent with me, and I'll make copies of this available. So in the event that you want to pop in a question, either the 6 participants who join me or anybody else outside you have a question, feel free to let me know. With that, thank you very much. And if Alfred is typing something, so I'll just give him a few minutes. If no more question, then I'll Yes, Priscilla, I can see you waving. You got a question or you got a, what you can always. Okay, thank you, Alfred. You're most welcome.
Thank you, Solomon, for that session. Just not a question, just some comments. Like now that our government is encouraging almost all the departments to go into cloud hosting platforms, and then we've got the internet access that's penetrating into more departments, into more organizations. So having these service on ethical hacking and penetration testing is very vital for any departments, any organizations that rely on the IT services. So thank you for the session today, and I hope you'll conduct more in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you, Priscilla. You are most welcome. Yes, we may not do every Thursday, but I'm picking up random Thursdays and doing it. So this is like one of our awareness. We are not affiliating anyway with DICT. This is cybersecurity as a pioneer company in cybersecurity in PNG. We feel that we are morally and ethically obliged to at least put out some public sessions like this. So many people ask us, is it like, will there be any cost to so? And at the moment, we're running all of them free. But as and when the need arises, and when we say that we need to have some change the model or so, then we may do later. But at the moment, it's all about creating awareness to our greater population in Papua New Guinea, and of course the Pacific and other global audience that they'll see our recorded messages. We're trying to do that. So, otherwise, I appreciate your comment and thank you for those encouraging words there. Thank you, Priscilla.
Thank you.
I think I'll let you guys go. I think that's the last comment I got from Priscilla and Makali. Yes, very insightful. Thank you. You're most welcome, Makali. All of you, thank you for your participation this morning, and I wish you all very best in your different endeavors. And as we approach 50 years of anniversary, I think we also we feel that cybersecurity need to be taught to everyone. And at the moment, we are running these free services, so I'll put up more, and then we'll love for all of you to join us on our few other episodes on Cyber Thursday. But with that, brings us to our end of Cyber Thursday on the economics of ethical hacking. Thank you, everyone, and thank you for joining.